Chapter 8. I turned to the voices. I couldn't stop myself. I squinted at the graves, and I saw them again. Pale gray figures. I could see right through them. The first one that caught my eye was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, wearing a tattered gray smock that came down to her ankles. She stood barefoot in the snow. Her long hair fell over her forehead. I couldn't see her face at all. Did she have a face? I saw 2 men huddled in long overcoats, their heads frozen inside oval blocks of ice, faces buried in ice, but their lips were moving as if they were having a conversation. 2 sad-looking women in long black gowns, shaking their heads, shaking, just shaking them. They were barefoot too, like the little girl. Only they floated 6 inches above the snow, floated in the air. Others perched on their tombstones, faces down, eyeballs glassy, moaning, moaning up at the bright blue sky. I saw 2 children, the saddest of all, the boy in short pants, his bare legs as white as the snow. He had long icicles hanging from his chin. The girl rocked back and forth on her feet, as if she couldn't find her balance. She wore a tattered short skirt and gray sweater. Her head was tilted to the sky, and she was crying, sobbing loudly, holding the boy's hand and wailing. Frozen to the spot, gaping in horror, I saw at least a dozen of the sad creatures, maybe more. Some floated above the low hills of snow. Others were half buried in the ground. Ghosts, all of them, cemetery ghosts, and I could see them. I didn't move. I didn't take a breath. I watched them, my eyes moving from one sad, ugly creature to the next. I could see them so clearly, and I realized that I could no longer ignore my special power. I could no longer pretend that I was just a normal 6th grade girl. I could no longer ignore the frightening truth. I can see ghosts. It happened before. The first week was at a 5th grade gymnastics meet. Then last fall it happened right here in this old graveyard. That's where I saw the sad children and the pale, mournful-looking adults floating up from their graves, huddling together, murmuring and whispering, chattering to each other. I tried to shut it away, shut it from my mind. I pretended it didn't happen, and I stayed away from the graveyard. I never came near it. Why? Because I didn't want to be weird. I didn't want the kids at school to laugh at me and tease me and get on my case. Too late for that. Courtney and some other kids already call me Ghost Girl. Why? It's a long story. It started at the 5th grade overnight last spring. I never should have told them what I saw there last night. I should have known that no one would believe me. I should have known that they would tease me and laugh at me and never let me forget it. Ghost Girl. Well, I was definitely seeing ghosts now, shivering in the middle of a graveyard. The wind picked up again. It appeared to blow right through the ghosts huddled near their graves. They shook and shivered like me. I let out a sharp cry when I realized they had all turned away from each other. Now they had their sad, sunken eyes on me. They stared in silence. Even the little kids. I could see them, and they could see me. My whole body tingled, not from the cold. I prepared myself to run. Would my legs work? Was I frozen to that spot of the snow-covered path? I heard whispers over the howl of the wind. She can see us. She is watching us. What does she want? Why is she here? A tall, bearded man in a black overcoat, 10 sizes too big for him, the sleeves nearly down to the ground, took a silent step toward me. His eyes were wide and glassy. He staggered stiff-legged. Stay away. Please stay away. I thought I spoke the words, but I only thought them. My brain was frozen. I suddenly felt so helpless. I wanted to move. I wanted to turn and run, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. I stood there, trembling, as the tall, bearded ghost staggered toward me, and as he moved, he stretched out his arms, stretched them out stiffly, as if reaching for me. His hands were big and bony, almost like skeleton hands. His fingers twitched as he held the hands straight out in front of him, ready to grab me, and still I couldn't move. What strange hold did the ghost have on me? Did he have some supernatural power to keep me in place? As he drew nearer, I could hear him grunting, low grunts like a pig makes when it's eating. Grunk, grunk, grunk. The ugly sound sent chills down my back. Move, Kate, run! The ghost lurched up to me. He raised his hand. He slid his bony finger down the side of my face, and I started to scream.